Hello and welcome to another What's Inside. Today we are looking at Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone Mystery at Hogwarts game. This is from the year 2000, put out by Mattel, product number 42754, ages 8 to adult, 2 to 6 players. Now, there were a lot of Harry Potter games that came out around this time. This one's kind of interesting because it does have a lot of the original style art that was in the original books. So, pretty intriguing. You can hear all those pieces moving around. The side art's kind of boring. Especially this side doesn't really have anything. This has been in storage for a while, so it's a bit dusty. And as you can tell, this does have a lot of unique pieces that are going to come into play. So, since this is effectively a vintage game now, you'll want to be real cautious when picking it up used to make sure that it is complete, because some of these pieces are going to be very difficult to replace. So let's open this up and see what we got. Alright, so everything scatters around because there's no insert here. But let's take a look at the board before we get into too much of the other stuff. Alright, the board is a nice matte finish. And it does have, you know, a big overhead view of everything. You got your different houses over there. You've got steps. There's a spot for cards here. And then you got your Great Hall, history. And over here you've got some of the other stuff, some more house stuff. Pretty straightforward, very unique looking because it does relate to the Harry Potter franchise. You're going to want to make sure this is in good condition. Mine's got a little bit of wear and tear here in the center, and you'll want to check all the seams because it is a four-corner. The back of it's pretty boring, but it is starting to warp a little bit because there is kind of a cheap coating on here. So you'll definitely want to check the quality of the board. You can see here there's some breakage or wrinkling. So the board is going to warp a little bit. Just be aware of that. Alright, let's take a look at the contents. Okay, so the first thing we're going to notice here is the notepad is laid out very much like a Clue game. So this is probably the piece that's going to be missing the most. I've only got a couple of them here. And they're one-sided, so it's going to be difficult to replace these. So you might have to just create a template or something like that and recreate something similar. That's probably the piece that's the most likely to be run out of, but it is replaceable if you put it on a database or something and recreate it. But it's not the piece that I'm most worried about because you can recreate this one. So the instructions are in black and white. Pretty straightforward. It's got a list of all the pieces. We've got the game board, the fluffy folder, special dice, movers. There's 6 movers. The ghost, 10 Hogwarts cards, 6 character cards, 6 magic cards, 9 room cards, 2 summary cards, and a checklist pad. The checklist pad we just looked at. And the instruction sheet is just a folded sheet of paper. It's not particularly high quality paper. It's very thin. And it is just really lame copy paper. Kind of a lazy layout. Could have been in color or something like that to jazz it up a little bit. But nothing particularly interesting about that. Alright, then we've got the fluffy folder. On one side we have Angry Fluffy. And it's just like the Clue folder. It's about the same size. And on the back side we have Sleeping Fluffy. And the cards would go, of course, inside here. Pretty straightforward. Not much to it. It's kind of cheaply made, so you'll want to double check this because mine's all wrinkled up, you can see. That's just bouncing around in the box, I think. So next we have the dice, which are just D6s that are black with gold specks, and they have a Hogwarts sticker on them. That's it. That's just a sticker put over the one. So you just got regular die otherwise. They're printed on. They're not even indented. It's just straightforward dice. Nothing particularly exciting about them. They're very light. You can replace them with better dice if you can find them. But it's just got a cheap little Hogwarts sticker on there on the one. Otherwise, they're just pre-printed vinyl dice. Not even that great at quality. They're okay, but they'll do for the board game, but they're not particularly exciting. Then we've got our movers, which are sorting hats. There's 6 of them. We have silver and purple. You can see there's like little stars and stuff on them. They're just little wizard hats that look like the sorting hat. A little copyright notice on the bottom. So we had silver and purple. Then we've got this like weird pink and mustard color ones. And then a sort of magenta and green. These are hideous colors. Apparently they had a deal on hideous colors. So the hats themselves aren't particularly exciting, but this is early on in the Harry Potter craze, so they didn't really have a lot to work with other than the book. So there's 6 of those, and then we have the ghost, which is kind of weak looking. It is a translucent light blue. That's really not coming through very well. This is probably the piece I would worry about the most being missing. You can use generic markers for the pawns, but this piece actually has a very unique look to it and is going to be the hardest one to replace because there's only 1 per box. If you find a couple sets and try and cobble them together, you'll want to make sure you at least have 1 of these. Alright, now let's move on to the cards. There's 2 decks. There's 21 blue ones and 10 green ones. These are the Hogwarts cards, and then the other one are the character cards, magic cards, and the something else cards. Room cards. Rooms, characters, magic. Now, the summary cards are actually part of the green deck. Let's start with that. And the summary cards are just telling you the general plot of the game. That's it. They're just bonus cards. It tells you it's basic synopsis of the game. If you guess wrong, you're out of the game. So it plays very similar to Clue. These other cards, let's take a look at. You learned a new spell in Defense of the Dark Arts. Next up we have you answered a potion question correctly. And we've got ladder piece with a key. Then we've got Hagrid shows you the way. Then a welcome to Hogwarts. Then we have Hall Pass. Then we have you are protected throughout the game from all ghostly attacks. Ooh, that's pretty nice. Then we've got what looks like a secret passage card. With little blue feet. And then we've got one with little yellow feet. Then we've got another one with a key. And that's the green cards. So let's take a look at the blue deck. Now the blue deck is comprised of 3 different types of cards. We've got the rooms, we've got spells, and characters. So let's look at the rooms first. And up we have Transfiguration class. Oops, hold still. Then we've got Filch's office. We've got Potions class. Yeah, these cards got kind of beat up over the years. We've got Flying class. The Library. The Great Hall. The art on these is really, really good. Defense Against the Dark Arts class. Herbology class. And finally, History of Magic class. That's all the room cards. So let's get those out of the way. and take a look at the spells. First up, we have Locomotor Mortis. Then we've got Forgetfulness Potion. Alamora. I don't know how to pronounce these. Wingaridum. Leviosa. Sleeping Potion. And finally, Petrifex Totalis. Alright, that leaves us with the character cards. And up first we have Hermione Granger. We have Goyle. It even says Mystery at Hogwarts Suspect, so it's easier to kind of keep an eye on these if you mix them in with another game. Then we have Ron Weasley. Then we have Crabbe. Draco Malfoy. I guess they were too lazy to put an image in there. And lastly, Harry Potter. So that is the last of the blue deck. The cards are actually pretty nice quality. I can't complain. They've held up really well over 20 years. Only a few of them are beat up. And you can kind of tell which ones. Hermione's a little banged up and one of the rooms was folded. Otherwise, they've held up pretty well with use. I would still try and sleeve them if you're going to collect it and still play. They make sleeves for this style card and this size. They're a little smaller than your average trading card, but shouldn't be a problem to find a sleeve for them. Alright, that is what is inside the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone Mystery at Hogwarts game. It plays very similar to Clue. It's a fun game. I haven't played it in a long time, but my ex-girlfriend's kids loved it. So, worth tracking down, especially if you're a Harry Potter fan and you like Clue. This is definitely going to be up your alley. So it's definitely a piece of Harry Potter memorabilia that you should add to your collection if you're a board game player at all, especially if you like Clue. If you hate Clue, you're probably not going to like it, but still a cool addition to the collection. And it's held up pretty well, few bent cards, but that's pretty much expected with a game that's 20 years old. So, aimed at ages 8 to adult, easily works for that demographic. It's very similar to Clue. It's put out by Mattel, so it's pretty good quality, especially for this era. Again, ages 8 to adult, 2 to 6 players. Great game. I think adults that grew up with Harry Potter are going to like this a lot more than young kids. So if you're a Harry Potter fanatic, you'll definitely want to track this game down. It can get expensive, but I've seen it go for less than 20 bucks. But I would keep an eye out for it at thrift shops because these do turn up there quite a bit. Shockingly. Because the people that got it growing up, moving out of the house, and their moms and dads are throwing stuff into Goodwill and Salvation Army, that sort of thing. So worth tracking down if you're a Harry Potter fanatic. So that's what's in the box. You've heard my take on it. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and share it around. If you'd like to support the channel in other ways, links to my Patreon, Streamlabs, and Teespring store are in the description. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.